Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 68 based on novel. So let's start. Morosa began to retreat and digest the corpse of the golden scale beetle. Luo Feng was still concentrating on the transformation method. Buzz. Buzz. Luo Feng looked at the two particles floating in front of him, and a sharp edge flowed on the edge of his palm, like a sharp blade, sweeping across the two particles. One of the two particles split open, revealing two particles of yin and yang fused inside. The other particle split open, revealing three piles of particles that were spinning and chasing each other. Everything is contained within a particle. Luo Feng looked at the containing large particles, like a world. This is the beginning of the yuan. Luo Feng noticed the similarities between the two forms. The Trinity form, of perfect chaos layer creatures inside the large particle world, evolution is simpler. The 10 directions world form, of the golden scale beetle's corpse inside the large particle world, has evolved to a deeper level and its power has also changed qualitatively. The evolution within a particle is like the evolution of the world. Luo Feng observed the life spirit and life body that had reached the peak of the chaos realm. The many mysteries of these two major branches were colliding. Time passes. Suddenly at some point, Luo Feng naturally stopped practicing. It's time to set off. Luo Feng had already determined the departure time. Even if he was in seclusion for cultivation, he would come out on time when the time came. On the day of departure, Emperor Chuyu also came to see Luo Feng off in person. Brother Luo, all the first-class marquises will try their best to complete this Jinji mission. In terms of individual strength, I am the weakest after all. I am afraid that my ranking will be lower in the two subtasks. Marquis Chuyu looked at Luo Feng, so we don't have to be too stressed about this mission. You should prepare for your own individual mission. Luo Feng said, leave the Blood Spirit Gold Pearl mission to me. Chu Yuho nodded. If the heaven-level mission came later, a few hundred centuries later, he would have reached the peak of the Chaos Realm and would have had a much better chance of carrying out individual missions. But that's the reality, it's impossible to get everything you want. The fight for the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl is taking place at the border between the two countries, so you have to be careful, said Chu Yuho. Don't forget that I'm cultivating my physical body. Maybe my ability in competing for the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl is average, but my ability to save my life is unquestionable. Luo Feng was telling the truth. The combat system he was good at was indeed at a disadvantage in competing for the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl. The spirit of life, the body of life, are all famous for preserving life. When competing for treasures with practitioners of the paths of cause and effect, space, and world, no one is as slippery as them. We just need to do our best. Chu Yuho said with a smile. I'll set off first. If I collect the Blood Spirit Gold Pearl, I'll send it back as soon as possible. Luo Feng said. Chu Yuho nodded. As Luo Feng walked forward, he saw his ancestor, Mo Yu Qingyang, who was seeing him off. Luo Feng and Yuan Zhu nodded, then gave instructions to Mo Yu Qingyang. Qingyang, Luo Sa is also practicing in seclusion now, you should also spend more time on practicing. Yes, master. Mo Yu Qingyang responded immediately. Luo Feng nodded, then took a step and flew through the void and left. Chu Yuho watched this scene. I have to do my best in my two individual tasks. Chu Yuho and Yuanzu, Mo Yu Qingyang nodded slightly and then left. The ancient countries of Yangfeng and Leitang occupied the core and most prosperous territory of the entire origin continent. There were more rare treasures of heaven and earth here, and even more practitioners and exotic beasts were bred. The border between the two countries can be regarded as the center of the origin continent, where there are abundant precious resources. The two ancient countries also have a tacit understanding that most of the resources are fought over by the Chaos Realm people, and only a very small number of resources will cause the God Kings to take action. Arrive. Luo Feng left the capital of Chu and used the method of stealth to hurry on his way. He arrived at his destination in just over 3 hours. With the help of the form-shifting technique, Luo Feng seemed to be integrated into the void, looking far into the sky. In the distance, there was an extremely large blood-red fireball. The light emitted by this blood-red fireball was all red, illuminating the surrounding land and rivers. This is the blood spirit star, created by the natural environment. The blood spirit star shines on a vast area around it, causing some rare treasures from heaven and earth to be produced in the surrounding area. Luo Feng looked at the blood spirit star. The flame of this blood spirit star erupts about 2 or 3 times every era. During the eruption, liquid-like flames will be ejected, as well as blood spirit golden beads. The mission lasts for a century. In this century, all the blood spirit gold beads that erupt must be snatched away. Luo Feng saw from a distance that the blood spirit star entering its eruption period was a sign, so there was no need to get close so soon. Luo Feng waved his hand, the law of chaos started to operate, and the power of chaos naturally gathered to form an ordinary cave. The cave is also arranged with a relatively simple formation to block prying eyes. Let's wait until the blood spirit star enters its outbreak period. Luo Feng split out a divine power incarnation and sat cross-legged in a pavilion, sensing the movement of the blood spirit star in the distance at any time. Luo Feng's real body has been in the Star Tower for a century, and it is estimated that he has only fought for it 2 or 3 times. The rest of the long time is of course used for cultivation. I can sense that there are already many powerful auras on the blood spirit star. Palace Master Yuan Xiao merged into the world and silently observed the world around the blood spirit star. He couldn't help but smile. This time, helping Chu Fenghu to fight for the blood spirit golden pearl could also take the opportunity to fight against the powerful. In the opinion of Palace Master Yuan Xiao, the best thing to do in this competition is to do your best. As for Chu Fenghu's final ranking, he didn't care. Palace Master Yuan Xiao cares more about his own cultivation. A grey shadow hid in the depths of the void, without leaking any breath, silently observing the area around the blood spirit star. According to my observation, there are at least 9 auras around. The grey shadow looked at it. It seems that it will not be easy to fight for the blood spirit gold pearl this time. General Yang Su, I believe in your ability to fight for the blood spirit golden pearl. An invisible wave of voice transmitted. The competition is very fierce this time. I dare not say that the number of blood spirit gold pearls that are being fought for is the largest, but I can only ensure that there will be no less than 10. The grey shadow said, you 2 world palaces, don't forget what you promised me. Invisible Wave said, don't worry, the most important thing for me in the 2 realms palace is fairness. Okay. The grey shadow responded. Luo he should also take part in the fight for the blood spirit golden pearl this time. You can attack him at the critical moment and ruin his mission to obtain the blood spirit golden pearl, said the invisible wave. He is the Emperor's personal disciple, said the grey shadow. The Emperor will not bully a chaos realm transcendent like you. Invisible Wave said, who would care about you in a normal fight? I'll add 30% to the favor you promised me, said the grey shadow. As long as you do your best to destroy his mission, I will add 30%. Invisible Wave said. With his strength, those Chaos Realm Transcendents are generally very polite and dare not neglect him. But Luo Feng's direct attack on his incarnation did make him a little angry. But he didn't dare to really attack the capital of Chu. A little Chaos Realm Transcendent? As a member of the 2 Realms Palace, the ancient existence of the Origin continent is used to being high and mighty. Luo Feng's offense really made him angry. The clouds in the sky suddenly became conscious and looked down at the blood spirit star in the distance. Junior brother Chu Ying asked me to help. This time, I won't take too much of the blood spirit gold pearl. I'll take half. The clouds looked around and let them fight for the remaining half. Half of it has been taken. Junior brother Chu Ying will definitely be ranked first in the blood spirit golden pearl mission. Junior brother Chu Ying will also definitely be ranked first in the other 2 subtasks. The clouds watched. The powerful men who were secretly watching the scene had no idea that the clouds had already become aware of it. When the powerful men from all sides were hiding in the surroundings, patiently waiting for the outbreak of the blood spirit star, suddenly a horrifying noise broke out, causing all the hidden powerful men to look over from afar. What is that? Luo Feng's divine incarnation also took a look. I saw a huge hoof breaking through the void, crossing the void, and the complete huge body came to this space. What a big body! Luo Feng was secretly surprised. His lower body has 4 huge hoof claws, and his upper body has a pair of thick and powerful arms. He is also carrying circles of black chains and short spears on his body. He stood there, his body was probably about 900 billion kilometers tall. The airflow from his breath formed a storm. His eyes are like stars. Ha ha ha. He stood on the ground and looked around. His eyes penetrated through layers of secrets and observed each strong man. Everyone from the ancient country of Flame Wind, you, the lineage of Emperor Chu, taking the collection of the Blood Spirit Gold Pearl as a subtask of the day-level task. You didn't even ask whether my ancient country of Thunder agrees? He grinned, his mouth wide open, and laughed even more wantonly. Most of the Blood Spirit Gold Pearls this time will belong to me. However, I am willing to sell them to you. The highest bidder wins, ha ha. His laughter caused ripples between heaven and earth. Many surrounding mountains were cracked and many large trees were directly shattered. The strong men hiding in the dark felt a headache when they saw this. It's the Lord of Desolate Wind City of the ancient Thunder Country. This is the mission of the ancient Flame Wind Nation, but why did the Lord of Desolate Wind City interfere? Even the Lord of Shinshio Mansion and the others felt the pressure. Luo Fengyao also had a headache when he saw the towering figure. Lord of Huangfeng City. Luo Feng frowned. In the ancient country of Yangfeng, the Chaos Realm level is generally prohibited from practicing the Han Yuan bloodline system. Even if you become a divine king, there are still many thresholds. Only after a strict review you are qualified to learn the Han Yuan bloodline system. Because the power contained in the Han Yuan bloodline is too enormous, and there is some chaotic will left, if one tries to comprehend it in the Chaos Realm, the result will usually be loss of control. The royal family of the ancient Thunder Nation is allowed to cultivate the Chaos Realm level of the Chaos Origin bloodline. Although there are many crazy people on their side, and there are also crazy and out-of-control people at the God King level, it must be admitted that the strength of those who can stay awake is terrifying. According to the information I have, the top-level cultivation system in the Origin continent can be divided into 2 categories. One type is to cultivate with the help of Han Yuan blood, Han Yuan materials, and Han Yuan power. Their strength is generally stronger. The resources of this type of inheritance are very expensive. The other type is the normal practice of the Great Tao, such as the first calamity of my 8 tribulations life form, and the first volume of 72 Blades of Destruction, which are just pure practice of the Great Tao. Pure Great Tao practice requires fewer resources and will not get out of control, but the general strength is inferior. You must understand your own way to improve your strength. Relying on the power of Han Yuan and Han Yuan materials to practice, the risk is relatively low. Relying on the blood of Han Yuan to practice is the most dangerous. Luo Feng looked at the towering Lord of Huangfeng City. But once successful, each of the Chaos Realm transcendents of Han Yuan bloodline is extremely powerful. For example, Chu Yuan, who has not yet practiced it. At that time, Luo Feng beat him into liquid but could not kill him. And if he practices it, his strength will change qualitatively. The strength can be imagined. The blood spirit star was hanging high in the sky, and the blood-red flames shone in all directions. The Lord of Desolate Wind City crouched down on all fours and sat there, taking a leisurely rest. The powerful men hiding in the dark were all waiting patiently. Time goes by day. Luo Feng also had patience and concentrated on meditation and practice until one day. Boom, the huge blood spirit star seemed to be boiling, and flames were rolling. It's about to enter the outbreak period. Luo Feng's divine incarnation had been sitting cross-legged, sensing from afar. The discovery of the blood spirit star began. Entering the outbreak period, Luo Feng's real body immediately emerged from the star tower. After entering the eruption phase, liquid flames will first spurt out, and as the momentum grows, blood spirit gold beads will be ejected. Luo Feng had already understood the details. After closing the cave, Luo Feng quickly approached Lingxing. This moment, The powerful men from all parties hiding in the dark were approaching the blood spirit star from all directions. Has it finally entered the outbreak phase? Below the blood spirit star, the Lord of Desolate Wind City who was sitting there also stood up, his eyes full of excitement. Suddenly, with him as the center, the wind whistled in the vast area around him. These winds swept all directions of the blood spirit star, even blowing the earth to a depth of hundreds of billions of kilometers. There is wind everywhere, in the sky and on the ground. The Lord of Desolate Wind City used the Hunyuan bloodline to control the desolate wind. It is the wild wind realm. Any ordinary Chaos Realm warrior will be reduced to ashes under this wild wind. Under the desolate wind domain, it's very difficult for me to fight for a blood spirit gold pearl. Some hidden strong men were trembling with fear. The blood spirit star became increasingly unstable, with liquid flames splashing and exploding, impacting in all directions. Suddenly, a blood-colored golden bead was mixed in one of the liquid flames. The weakest of the hidden warriors present was also at the peak of the Chaos Realm. Naturally, he instantly locked onto the blood-colored golden bead that erupted first. Mine. The Lord of Huangfeng City looked over and saw that the endless wind had already wrapped around the blood-colored golden bead. Receive. The Lord of Yuanxiu Palace stood in the distance, and his dark prison had a terrifying power covering the blood-colored golden bead. But Lord Yuanxiu noticed that the wind in the vast world around him seemed to form a huge hole. The wind also wrapped around the blood-colored golden bead. To take away the blood-colored golden bead, he needed to fight against the entire wild wind domain. Both the dark prison and the wild wind realm were in confrontation, and the dark prison was obviously defeated. The desolate peak domain of this Hunyuan bloodline is too strong. Palace Master Yuanxiu's face changed slightly. He knew that every Chaos Realm transcendent who cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline would have extremely terrifying strength. But in a head-on confrontation, Palace Master Yuanxiu also felt a little powerless. It was as if he was using a prison to imprison a huge monster and couldn't hold it in at all. Swish! Suddenly, a ray of sharp light passed through the blood-colored golden bead, and then the blood-colored golden bead disappeared without a trace. The face of the Lord of Desolate Wind City changed, and his desolate wind domain covered the blood-colored golden bead, and he wanted to take it away. But the sharp edge seemed to cut a small piece of heaven and earth, cutting away the small space where the blood-colored golden bead was, and taking it away completely. Even his wild wind domain couldn't stop it. I'll take half of the blood spirit gold beads today, and you can take the rest. A cold voice echoed in all directions. In the dark, the grey shadow who was about to attack also changed his expression. Great Sage Biyun. Great Sage Biyun? In the wild wind domain, even Luo Feng couldn't hide, he needed to fly closer. His attack speed was not as fast as that of Palace Master Yuanxiu and Great Sage Biyun. There are only 7 first-class marquises in the Emperor Chu lineage. Even the Great Sage Biyun has been invited out? Luo Feng felt the pressure of talking about strength. The Great Sage Biyun and the Lord of Huangfeng City are both at the forefront of the Chaos Realm transcendence. However, the Great Sage Biyun follows the path of the world's origin and can even cut off part of the heaven and earth with one sword. As for snatching the blood spirit gold pearl, the Great Sage Biyun's method is stronger than the Lord of Wild Wind's wild wind domain. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect that Great Sage Biyun would come as well. The Lord of Huangfeng City laughed. If one blood spirit golden bead is erupted, can you rob it? If multiple blood spirit golden beads are erupted at the same time, how many can you rob? You can give it a try. Great Sage Biyun's voice resounded through the world, but she was still hidden between heaven and earth, and her figure could not be seen. It's terrible. Palace Master Yuanxiu, who was far away, saw this scene and frowned. I thought I was better at fighting for the blood spirit gold pearl, but City Master Huangfeng and Great Sage Biyun are better at snatching it than me. Cultivate different paths and have different tricks. Some are good at killing enemies, some are good at escaping. Chu Yinghu invited Great Sage Biyun because among the Chaos Realm transcendents he knew, Great Sage Biyun was the most suitable one to compete for the blood spirit golden pearl. Boom! The blood spirit star became more violent, with liquid-like flames constantly exploding and splashing. Suddenly, the splashing liquid flame carried 3 blood spirit golden beads. As soon as these 3 blood spirit golden beads appeared, every Chaos Realm transcendent, including Luo Feng, took action instantly. Buzz. Palace Master Yuan Xiu used the Dark Palace prison to try his best to collect a blood spirit golden pearl. However, this time, not only was it covered by the desolate peak territory, but there was also the invisible heaven and earth resisting. Call out! A sharp edge cut off a small piece of heaven and earth, as if cutting a piece of paper, and took away the small piece of heaven and earth along with a blood spirit golden bead. Call! A grey shadow teleported through the desolate wind territory and appeared directly next to a blood spirit golden bead. It grabbed a blood spirit golden bead and disappeared out of thin air. Buzz. Only the 3rd blood spirit golden bead was swept up by the desolate wind domain and fell into the mouth of the Lord of Desolate Wind City. Boom. Luo Feng was still rushing towards a blood spirit golden bead at this moment, but the blood spirit golden bead still disappeared. I'm too slow. Luo Feng also realized the problem. The area around the blood spirit star was now covered by the wild wind domain, and the great sage being controlled the heaven and earth. Under the clash and suppression of many forces, Luo Feng could not travel through the void just by relying on the method of stealth and transformation. That grey shadow is the great sage Yang Su. Luo Feng also recognized the expert who stole a blood spirit gold pearl. Great Sage Yang Su is a Chaos Realm transcendent who practices the Great Tao of the origin of space. He has achieved a very high level of attainment in the Great Tao of the origin of space. Even if the surrounding pressure is extremely strong, he can still teleport easily. He even practiced the art of clones. Just relying on the art of clone himself, Great Sage Yang Su is a very tough opponent. Either you have a domain, you control the world, or you are good at space. How can I compete with them with just my flesh and blood? Luo Feng's eyes were filled with murderous intent. There is no other way, I can only rob it. Luo Feng was seen running towards him, and his body size grew rapidly as he ran, trillions of kilometers, tens of trillions of kilometers, and at an incredible speed, he quickly touched the edge of the starry sky. An endless and majestic body that was as high as the sky and earth appeared, and the blood spirit star became very small in front of him. They are all mine. Luo Feng stood there, black liquid flew out of his robe. The black liquid quickly enveloped the entire blood spirit star. The black liquid completely enveloped the huge blood spirit star, layer by layer. That's all we can do. The endlessly majestic Luo Feng, with the blood spirit star on his chest, was completely wrapped in black liquid. Luo He? The Lord of Desolate Wind City looked up at the towering figure and sneered, just because you're big doesn't mean you can fight. Get out of my way. The wild wind howled, blowing against Luo Feng's body. The terrifying wind that could turn the general Chaos Realm into ashes seemed too gentle to Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked down at the Lord of Desolate Wind City, that little guy. You all have very clever methods. Luo Feng said, my physical training techniques are a bit rough, so I can only use this method. Physical body? I want to see whose physical body is stronger, yours or mine. The Lord of Huangfeng City instantly grew in size, to a height of 10 trillion kilometers. If he grew any larger, his strength would actually decrease. The Lord of Desolate Wind City, which was 10 trillion kilometers high, was obviously extremely huge, but he was also integrated into the desolate wind. His 4 hooves trampled the void, and he was moving at a terrifying speed, and instantly crashed into Luo Feng. Although he was only 10 trillion kilometers in height, much smaller than Luo Feng, the physical body of the Lord of Huangfeng City, who cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline, was actually extremely terrifying. Even the war god king of higher ranks is not inferior to him at all. Palace Master Yuanxiu, Great Sage Biyun, and Yang Su were all watching in secret, as they were not good at head-on combat. Luo Feng didn't even try to dodge, but stood where he was, allowing the Lord of Desolate Wind City to hit him in the chest. With 5 transformation methods combined into one, Luo Feng is most confident in his own body. He wanted to see how powerful this Hunyuan bloodline could be when it transcended the Chaos Realm. The impact was like the collapse of heaven and earth. The powerful boom annihilated all the spatial layers. Luo Feng felt a terrifying impact force rushing through his entire body. Hundreds of billions of transformation units unloaded the force at the same time, causing him to stagger back 2 steps before he could stand firm. Each of these 2 steps back created a deep crater tens of trillions of kilometers across the earth. The Lord of Huangfeng City was also forced to retreat continuously by the recoil of this impact, and he also felt the terrifying recoil force all over his body. The aftermath of the impact swept in all directions, destroying all the trees on the mountains and flattening the earth. I think we should stay out of this. They were fighting with several Chaos Realm transcendents. If we weren't careful, we would be affected. We can't snatch this blood spirit golden pearl. Several Chaos Realm peak powerhouses hiding in the distance were trembling with fear when they saw this. This kind of head-on terrifying power, even if it just brushes against them, can annihilate those at the peak of the Chaos Realm. After all, the Lord of Huangfeng City cultivates the Hunyuan bloodline, so his body is naturally extremely strong. He is not afraid of the God King. How come Luo his body is so strong? They fought head-on. Luo he retreated 2 steps, and the Lord of Desolate Wind City retreated a full 5 steps. For legs retreated 5 steps. There shouldn't be much difference. Although those at the peak of the Chaos Realm did not dare to get involved, they still watched the battle carefully. After all, confrontation at this level was very rare. Luo Feng and Lord Huangfeng looked at each other, both very surprised. I have the blood of Hunyuan, so my body won't have the upper hand in a head-on fight? Lord Huangfeng couldn't believe it. There were indeed people who cultivated their bodies in the Chaos Realm. For example, they cultivated their bodies with the help of the power of Hunyuan and the things of Hunyuan. But there was no doubt that the Chaos Realm transcendents who cultivated with the blood of Hunyuan were more powerful. With the Galaxy Transformation method, I can be called Chaos Realm Transcendent, and my physical strength is even stronger. In the more than 20 centuries in Chudu, the spirituality of the transformation method has also improved a lot, and the physical strength has almost doubled, which is actually equal to his. Luo Feng was also surprised that his original transformation method broke through to the Chaos Realm Transcendent level with the yin-yang particle form. Generally, you can use the Galaxy Transformation technique to attack the enemy from a distance. In close combat, he cannot perform too many sophisticated moves because he has to mobilize billions of units of transformation in his body, but he can still be said to have infinite strength, which is Luo Feng's most powerful method. During these 20 epochs, the transformation method still remained in the form of yin-yang particles. However, after the spirituality of life reached the peak of the Chaos Realm, the spirituality of the yin-yang particles was greatly improved, which almost doubled the strength of the physical body. Luo Feng thought to himself. With a terrifying body of tens of billions of transformation method units, he was not afraid of ordinary God Kings at all. The Chaos Realm transcendence of the Hunyuan bloodline is really strong, and its physical body is indeed not inferior to mine. Luo Feng thought. This video will end here.